What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Evil Tactics here, and we got a lot to discuss. I just put out a video out on Citizen Talk talking about the 4.8.1, the defense locations update, how that did not come with any patch fixes, but it's okay, folks. The patch fixes are coming tomorrow. So we can take a breath, we can relax, we don't have to lose our cool. But CIG just put the PU monthly report for May out, so let's see what we got. AI content. Following the launch of Alpha 4.8, the AI content team began closing out tasks for Alpha 4.9 and beyond. Yes, cool. Along the usual bug fixes and ongoing initiatives from previous months, the team looked into technical fixes to help streamline the process and for adding content into the game. The Alpha 4.9 patch is going to be a very important one for the narrative design of the game, as the team is contributing, excuse me, to two very large elements that will lay out important foundations for developing the narrative and ultimate 1.0 vision AI content team. All right. That I think is instancing and a bunch of other stuff that is going to help, but we'll go through that again later. AI features and tech. On the animation side, significant work went towards the mass retargeting of male to female combat AI assets, with additional support for unconscious and bleeding out behaviors. The devs also made track views for upcoming event and restructured how melee attacks are tweaked for NPCs with large attack sets. Don't know what that is about, but the additional support for unconscious and bleeding out behaviors, that'll be cool. Prototypes were then implemented for the Valakar. For example, the team simplified the setup of borrowing animation types, fixed the path patching to improve movement along dynamically generated positions, and improve the API for tracking damage to NPCs and trigger motive actions. They also refactored how AI states work and improved debug shortcuts for controlling time and teleporting. Cool. That probably means when you're in a firefight, you're not going to see them kind of jumping back and forth like we always do. So that'll be cool to do and see that kind of fixed. Next is animation. Last month, the animation team progressed with the Apex Valakar, fleshing out various additional attacks and animations. They also captured new enter and exit animations for upcoming ships, along work with a new full body mission giver, who will have her own place in the verse, so we know it's a she. Now, this is interesting. New enter and exit animation for upcoming ships. That must be talking about getting into the Raylan and some of the Alien Week ships, I would imagine. The facial animation team processed a significant amount of new content from April's performance capture shoot, which will appear in Alpha 4.9, as this content will be split across comms calls and in-person interactions. Okay. It was processed at different quality tiers to ensure that everything players see close up will really shine. I'm excited to see that. The team are excited to see players' reactions to the return of Recco Battaglia, as this will be the first instance of an old character returning to the verse with new content and missions. Cool. A lot has changed within the pipeline since her debut, and this will be the first time since players will be able to draw immediate comparisons. Facial animations also held 2 performance capture shoots with the narrative and motion capture teams, which will cover content for Alpha 4.9 and 4.10. Wow, we're actually going to hit a 4.10. Haven't seen a 0.10 in a hot minute. Arts and ships. May's DefenseCon saw many of the ship's team's recent projects flyable in the PU, including the Aegis Tiburon and the Hammerhead Gold Standard, the Origin M80, the Miss Starlight, the Drake Pitbull Ironclad Assault, and the Command Module. The team also deliver the Vandal Mauler as part of a tactical strike group alongside numerous flight blades and weapons kits. Elsewhere, the Gatek Raylan passed its gray box review before progressing into its Lot Zero, with a combined Lot Zero and final gate review scheduled for early June. Significant progress was made on related yet unannounced ship. That I think is the industrial Raylan or Gatek ship that we're probably going to get. So we'll have to see what that is. Obviously, we have an image here. It looks like thrusters. I'm assuming that's a thruster. So it almost looks like a Sulin leg, but I don't know. 4 other upcoming vehicles continued development. 2 first received custom mocap for its enter and exit animations. Okay, that was the AI up there. Creating unique challenges due to its scale before its gray box review at the end of the month. Production on the second kicked off with a small team starting work towards white box gate planned for the middle of June. The third continued down the pipeline, while the fourth saw the UK team collaborating with the North America team counterparts to ensure the art direction aligns with the brand's other new releases. Okay. With resources freed up following DefenseCon, pre-production picked up on the Anvil Liberator, with the start of the white box scheduled for the end of the month as part of this update. Has made the interior allow for quicker entry and exit on landing pads. Okay, so that's cool. The Anvil Liberator is getting some work done, and it's going to be entering white box at the end of the month. Lastly, on the UK side, the RSI Galaxy continued through white box as further revisions were made to the layout around the central docking collar, halves, bridge, and lift area to ensure clear flow in any direction. As mentioned above, North America team progressed with an unannounced ship which passed its gray box gate review with flying colors. Following this, the Lot Zero phase began, and the ship coming together following preliminary lighting phase. Oh, that's the Kraken. Yeah, that's the Kraken. I didn't even read down here. That is the Kraken. Just the sheer size of the landing gear right here is what gave it away. Finally, the Drake Kraken continued through its gray box phase with further changes to the hero rooms to utilize more of the Drake kit used in the Ironclad. This will save both production time and increase optimization of this huge ship. And she's gonna be big. She's gonna need at least an extra large hangar. I mean, they show it in a hangar here, which she's a big ship, so it's gonna be interesting. Art and weapons. In May, the weapons team ensured their content was ready for Alpha 4.8, including the Castec Arms Plasma Grenade and the Utiflex Novian Crossbow, and a handful of skins for an upcoming event. Meanwhile, the team progressed with a new large caliber weapon, which is currently in gray box. New tech is also in the works, which will require cross-team collaboration over the next couple of months. Material polish patches and updates to existing weapons continue to progress too. Okay. Then we got some community stuff here. They more or less they say community team began May by preparing for the launches of 4.8 Tactical Stripe and DefenseCon. Early in the month, they published the April PU, plus the Org Spotlight, crossbow, shared some updates. A lot of this is just talking about community stuff. What I would like to see is social tools. This is what I want to see. Economy. Alpha 4.8 saw the introduction of 2 major economy features: ship insurance adjustments and player crafted items. Consumable prices were also adjusted, and components now have a wider price range, with prices of grade A military components being in particular being adjusted towards upwards, to give more of a sense of progression. The devs also increased the sale price of components so that salvagers can capitalize on any high tier components they come across. Ah, so weapons are going to be worth more. Well, weapons and components. The data aggregation pipelines were brought in, resulting in several mission archetypes resolving a balanced pass on player behavior data. To support future economy updates, the team began standardizing the price and volume brackets of crafting resources. They're also working on new ways to make resources, commodity, and trading systems more intuitive and transparent for players. On the shop implementation side, the team supported DefenseCon by setting up new shop items, including commemorative hats and shirts, ship weapons, flight blades, flight suits, and vehicles. This allowed all the items on display within the expo halls and lobby to physically spawn and be interactive and purchasable. While the team even addressed the coffee to go concession stand to fit the DefenseCon theme. Nice. Lastly, with the introduction of flight suits, a pass was done on some existing shops across the PU to ensure two of them could be purchased. So they didn't mention why we got a wipe in 4.8, but we all know why we got a wipe in 4.8, and that was because of duping and people just having way, 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 way too much money. Um, Okay. Graphics and VFX programming and Planet Tech. Majority of the graphics team focused on optimization throughout May, making significant improvements that will come later at a later date. Along this, the team further optimized and refined the visuals for the global illumination system, in addition to adding depth output support to all parallax mapped surfaces, which allows them to benefit from our full rendering feature set, such as screen space, shadows, reflection, and directional occlusion. The Planet Tech made large strides with Genesis as they took a look to close out the last elements of the core technology and move on to polished performance and stability tasks. Recent work focused on critical pieces of the technology like GPU object spawning, virtual terrain cache, imposter rendering, and the spawning of creatures and minables on V5 planets. Along this, the teams continue to iterate the visual quality while ensuring performance is kept in check. Good, because a lot of people out there are worried that with Planet Tech V5, their systems are going to melt. So this sounds like they're trying to keep everything in a uh, certain area, which I'm okay with. Mission design. Last month, the mission design team progressed with Recco Battaglia. They also worked closely with narrative and core gameplay to ensure the mission provider interaction flow is as desired for the initial release. Progress was made to the redesign of existing event, which aims to push the boundaries of what is possible within a single instance. The original was designed around combat, but as the game has grown and matured, the teams are now able to tap into new methods and gameplay choices. That's probably going to be Siege of Orison. Uh, the team also focused on creating a faction focused on non-combat gameplay from the Star Citizen 1.0 plan. Elsewhere, the Municipal Works is currently going through mission blockouts to get it into first playable stats. Once the design is signed off, full production can begin. So, Municipal Works not coming yet. That's a disappointment. I was kind of hoping that stuff would be ironed out by now, considering we've been hearing about it for the last few years now. Uh, kind of disappointed that it's not, but you know, alpha game, live service, I get it. They got to stick to certain things. Narrative team. As mentioned in last month's report, the native team held a performance capture session which not only brought back a familiar face, but also recorded lines for a revamped existing mission. They also captured content for NPCs encountered during refueling gameplay to allow them to expand the variety of voices heard in those missions. The narrative team also began adding a variety of contracts that will bring more gameplay to the verse, not only for upcoming events, but for some expanded evergreen missions as well. Additionally, they created lore for new harvestable flora, wrote scripts on several new mission providers, including solidifying the narrative of their organizations, and provided support for both the UI and environment art teams. Thank you to all players for reporting issues as they find them. This team has been knocking out recently discovered narrative bugs as quickly as possible, with many small quality of life fixes expected to make their way into Alpha 4.9. Sincerely, the narrative team. Good job, guys. As for online technology, this one's going to be a little longer. In May, the online services team continued their work on several key player facing features, including the social chat. Yay, social chat! Social chat, which is being built to enable in game text communication between players. Alongside this, the social systems pipeline continued to grow with friends, online presence, party viewer, and orgs, each formally tracked as upcoming deliverables for future milestones. Nice. Some work in social tools. The first iteration of item recovery was included with Alpha 4.8. The team is currently supporting this feature with more improvements coming in the future. Planning also kicked off for Maglot system to be as part of the item recovery feature set. Maglock. Wait. I wonder if we're going to have the ability to lock our cargo to our grids on our ships. So if we're killed on board and we make it back to our ship, that they can't steal it, or maybe they have to hack the maglock. I don't know what that is. Hmm. But I'm curious. A significant focus in May was to address live gameplay stability issues tied to the contract system. The team identified that the current contract system generates far too many database entries, causing overloads and performance instability for players. Two critical tasks were created to reduce the number of the database entries and to improve how contracts are filtered. So, for instance, for those of you that are wondering what that means, um, you part of the reason why now in 4.8 you can only select 10 contracts at a time is because of that. In the past, you could collect as many contracts as you wanted. So one player could have 15, 20, or more contracts, and they could just share it between their org, and it would just overload the entire system, causing contracts to break, contracts to not show up, and other issues like that. The team also tactical reliability improvements to the mission rewards and is putting together better diagnostic tools in place, making it faster to identify and fix issues with missions and contracts not appearing. The live tools team continued to deliver improvements across all of their gig tools while also shipping several notable releases. For Hex, the team released version 3.39, which introduced new player support capabilities, including improved entitlement tracking and an expanded account ownership view and more. That's the website side. That's cool because one of the biggest issues in the past was for in between updates, some people would start losing items that they were pledged and they had to wait till another update or something along those lines for that item to come back. Follow up release of 3.3.9.1 kept Hex's blueprint data in sync with the latest services. Throughout the month, work continued on Hex 4.0 redesign, including a new design system and UX foundations that will shape all future Hex modules. On the Bootstrap side, that's server side, backend, the team continued to reliably work through the month, addressing developer facing issues like server failures, performance bottlenecks, and configuration problems. Technical planning for a full Bootstrap client overhaul was kicked off and now moving from research to design and implementation planning, which is good. The back end needs a little bit of work. It's struggling, and everyone out there feels it. So I'm happy to see that. And last but not least, R&D. May saw the R&D team implement tweakable, approximate multi-scattering in gas clouds. Similar to the multi-scatter solution for planet clouds, this smoothly blends between forward and backward scattering, driving the phase function depending on the visibility of the light source of given sample points. Support began to look up tables in the ray marker to recolor gas clouds based on their local density. The ray marker loop was further optimized by skipping significant sampling and lighting work at locations where density amounts to zero. Additional optimizations will speed up noise LOD calculations as well as make the target's opacity threshold of clouds configurable. What that means is you'll be able to start seeing ships disappear in clouds a little better. Furthermore, numerous fixes and improvements were made to integration of an experimental temporal upsampler borrowed from planet clouds. Lastly, out of bound rights in the gas cloud ray markers were fixed for Vulcan alongside sporadic GPU hang due to the introduction of nonlinear stepping, which was mentioned in April's PU report. So, not a long one, but still something that they need to work on. I am happy to see that a lot of the stuff has progressed. I know that May can seem a little lackluster sometimes. Yes, we have Invictus slash Defense Con, so we get a lot of new ships, a lot of new missions. So that was cool. I have done the TSG missions; those are very fun, and they have their moments. But other than that, the monthly report seems pretty good. I'm not complaining with it. I do wish that they would have mentioned the delays we saw in 4.8 going live, maybe touch based on what caused those delays. But I'm also not expecting them to, sit someone down and have them write a novel of why things are delayed, this and that. Jared does his job of trying to let us know what's going on. But yeah, so here we got some Kraken images. We got a thruster from looks like maybe the Raylan, but that is definitely the Kraken right there. That's all Drake design. But yeah, that's the monthly report. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, message in the comments, and I'll reply as I can. Thanks for stopping by. See you in the verse.